Right now, somewhere, a cow is standing in a field chewing grass, looking at nothing special. Maybe it has a name. It definitely has a number tag in its ear. And in a few months, it will be killed so that someone can eat it. The cow doesn't know this, or does it? Almost nobody lets themselves ask this question, because the answer feels uncomfortable no matter what it turns out to be. We eat animals every single day, billions of them, and we mostly assume they have no idea what is coming. They eat grass, they sleep, they live in a kind of soft, empty present moment, right up until the end. But here is the thing. What we have learned in the last few decades suggests that some of these animals are paying much more attention than we ever admitted. Not to the calendar, not to the word food, but to something much closer and much more immediate. And once you understand what they actually feel, you may never look at the animal on your plate the same way again. Let's start with the obvious question, because we need to clear it up first. Does a cow, a pig, or a chicken understand the abstract idea, I am livestock, humans are raising me to be eaten? Almost certainly not. To understand that, an animal would need to understand its own future death, the human idea of farming, and the long-term plan it is trapped inside. That is not a feeling. That is a whole web of ideas, and there is no good evidence that any farm animal carries it around. So the honest answer to the title question, taken literally, is no. They don't know they are food the way you would know it. But this is where most people stop thinking, and that is a mistake, because the real question is not whether they understand the plan, it is whether they can feel the danger when it arrives. And here, the science gets truly disturbing. Let's start with smell, because that is where it begins. When a mammal becomes terrified, its body fills with stress hormones, mainly cortisol and adrenaline. You can't see this, but the body releases it in sweat, in urine, and in the chemistry of the blood. And to an animal with a strong sense of smell, that is not invisible at all. It is a signal. Grandin is one of the most respected animal behavior scientists in the world, and she has spent her career designing the systems that move cattle through farms and slaughterhouses. She noticed something that handlers had quietly known for years. When cattle are kept calm, the animals behind them walk forward without much trouble. But when an animal ahead becomes very stressed and upset for 10 or 15 minutes, the cattle behind it start to hesitate. They refuse to walk past the exact spot where the frightened animal had been. Something was left behind in that place. Researchers think it may be a fear chemical, a kind of alarm signal in the blood and urine. This has actually been tested in other animals. In studies, pigs avoided a feeder when it had been marked with urine from a stressed pig, but ignored urine from a calm one. Rats avoided blood and tissue from rats that had been frightened. The same pattern keeps showing up. Fear has a smell, and other animals of the same kind can read it. Now, think about what that means on a farm. An animal may not understand the word slaughter, but while standing in line, it can smell the panic of the animal that went before it. Its body does not need the idea, it just needs the chemical. And the chemical says, in a language older than thought, something terrible happened here. But it goes deeper than smell. Here's a fact that surprises people. Studies on cattle being handled before slaughter have found that the hours before death are, by the body's own measurements, the most stressful of the animal's entire life. Their blood sugar spikes. Their cortisol climbs to extreme levels. And this is not only about physical pain, because the spike happens before any injury. It is fear. The unfamiliar place, the strange smells, the noise, the loss of control, the body reacts to all of it as a full emergency. There is an even more striking finding hidden in the research. Scientists who study fear in animals have shown that fear can be so overwhelming that it overrides pain. In one experiment, a chicken that was guarding an injured leg, holding it up to protect it, stopped guarding it the moment it was placed somewhere frightening and new. The fear simply took over. The terror was louder than the injury. So, when we picture a farm animal as calm and unaware right up to the end, the data pushes back. The body knows when something is deeply wrong. It knows long before any human idea of death could explain it. And then there is the part that is hardest to talk about: intelligence. We tell ourselves a comfortable story that the animals we eat are simple. Pigs especially get the worst of this, treated as dirty and stupid. The science says the opposite. Pigs are among the most mentally capable animals on the planet. In one famous experiment, pigs were placed in a pen with a mirror, then shown a bowl of food that they could only see as a reflection, with the real bowl hidden behind a barrier. Most of the pigs did not go toward the reflection. They turned around and walked to where the food actually was, using the mirror as a tool to figure out the hidden location. Now, I have to be honest here, the way this channel always tries to be. When other scientists repeated that mirror experiment, they often could not get the same result. Some pigs managed it, many did not. So this is not proof that pigs recognize themselves the way we do. It is debated, but even the doubters agree on the bigger picture. Pigs can solve puzzles, learn their names, remember which humans treated them well or badly, and even free other pigs from traps. By many measures, a pig is at least as smart as a dog, the animal sleeping at your feet that you would never think of eating. That is the part that should make you stop. The line between pet and food was not drawn by intelligence or feeling or how much an animal can suffer. It was drawn by culture, by history, by which animals happened to wander into our homes and which ones wandered into our barns. So here is the skeptic's fair objection, and it deserves a real answer. Maybe none of this is what it looks like. Maybe the cattle hesitating at a smell, the cortisol spike, the chicken forgetting its pain, all of it is just reflexes, automatic machinery. A signal goes in, a response comes out, with nobody inside to actually experience the fear. After all, we can measure the hormones, but we can't climb inside the animal and feel what it feels. That is a real limit, and careful scientists will admit it. But here's the problem with leaning on that. We use the exact same reflexes, the same hormones, the same brain structures to feel our own fear. The cortisol in a frightened cow is the same molecule as the cortisol in a frightened person. The brain regions that create terror are nearly identical across mammals. We did not invent fear. We inherited it from the same ancient design these animals are running. So to say their fear is not real because it is just chemistry is to forget that ours is just chemistry too. Now widen the view, because it is not just cows and pigs. We eat fish by the trillions, and for a long time we told ourselves they could not feel anything at all. That belief is falling apart. Fish have been shown to learn, to remember, and to recognize individual faces. Whether they feel pain the way we do is still debated, but the old confident no has turned into a very uncomfortable maybe, and probably more than we thought. We eat octopuses, which can solve mazes, use tools, and unscrew jars. We eat animals across a huge range of minds, and for most of history, we simply decided not to look too closely at any of them. Why would we be like this? Why build such a thick wall between the animals we love and the animals we eat when the wall does not match the biology? Because we have to. A person can't sit down to dinner while fully imagining the inner life of the animal on the plate, so the mind does something clever and a little cowardly. It switches that imagination off. Psychologists have a name for this. We deny these animals a mind precisely because we eat them. The less we believe they think and feel, the easier the meal goes down. The wall is not built on evidence. It is built on appetite. They may not know the word for what we are to them, but in the last moments, something in them knows that the most dangerous thing on Earth has arrived, and that something has gone very wrong. We are the only species that eats while pretending the meal can't feel. Maybe that pretending was always necessary. Maybe it is the only way any of this works. But the animals were never as empty as we needed them to be. We just could not look at them and eat at the same time. So we looked away. And now you can't. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more such videos.